Welcome, everyone, to It Tastes Different Gaming Appetizers. Tonight, we're going to talk about Hello Games' next new IP. Somebody should have smacked the mic out of Sean Murray's hand once again because he's comparing it to No Man's Sky. I don't think he learned his lessons from the first go-around from No Man's Sky because he should know better, right? Everybody was like, what is this crap that we were delivered? All these promises and wet dreams that never came true of No Man's Sky. And this is what we got. They managed to clean up their image here this day and age and actually put out a great game and won fans back over with a lot of free updates and basically putting out the game that they promised years later. But I don't think Sean Murray has basically learned his lesson because he's hyping up this game and that basically he's comparing it to No Man's Sky in terms of scope and ambition. And all this stuff. So we don't know a whole lot about his next IP. All we know is that the hype train has already started, right? It's saying it's another pretty ambitious project. Okay. How about you not talk about it? Just say we're working on another IP, more details to come as the game is more fleshed out. You are a PR team's worst nightmare, which Sean Murray is, I think. I mean, I hope they live up to the hype, but I don't see how they can live up to the hype. Because they've already ran that hype train up. They were playing the old yodeling man game on Price is Right. And when he got to the top, Sean Murray just jumped that sucker off like Fast and the Furious game over the mountain. And everybody was like, yeah. And the game came out and they're like, no, the man should have fell off the mountain, just went to the bottom again. But what do I know, right? What do you guys think? Nick, what do you think about No Man's Sky's their Hello Games next game that they're basically comparing to the scope and ambition of No Man's Sky?
Yeah, they clearly didn't learn their lesson. Or Sean Murray clearly didn't learn his lesson with it. I mean, because No Man's Sky, he hyped the crap out of that game. Now, granted, that game now is everything and more than what they had promised, and it is a good game now. But when it released, it was missing a ton of what they said was going to be there on launch day. And, and a lot of people might say, well, the game is what it is now. They did give you everything they promised. Sure, they did, but it took several years, right? And the thing is Sean Murray at the time promised all these big ambitions and these big dreams of how No Man's Sky was going to be on launch day. You were supposed to be able to do all these things, and all those things were not in the game, right? They are now, but they weren't, right? And it took quite a few years, 2 or 3, 4 years before all those things were in the game, to the point where they had hyped it up to. And here we are again, starting over, right? We're starting over the new IP, and like Pat said, let's start the hype train. Whoop, whoop, we're getting everybody on board. We're getting on board the hype train, and it's like, man, you need to slow down because the problem is yes, No Man's Sky is a great game now, but you started out with, you tried to come out with a bang and you came out with a whimper, and it took a lot to get that player base to come back because those players were pretty mad, right? Nowadays, they would say No Man's Sky is a great game, and he finally brought out something that's what we expected. But if you do the same thing with your new game and you hype it up so much that hype balloon is going to pop, right? And that's the same thing would happen with No Man's Sky. I'm hoping it doesn't happen here, but I mean, yeah, seriously, just cool your jets, man. Just say you're making a new game, and when you actually have something that's going to be on the level of hypeness, then cool. You can, once the game releases or gets really close to release, you can show that stuff off and everything and show how cool it is and release it. And it's the bee's knees, right? But if you don't have that, if you're not going to get that level of ambition that you're hoping for, like you were with No Man's Sky, then, cool your jets, because you're not going to be able to ride that train forever. People, you're like the boy that cried wolf. Eventually people are going to stop listening to you. So what do you think, Shane?
Yeah, I'm what you call a non-fan of hype. Hype is just a big letdown. I hear this stuff all the time in the gaming industry, and it's just annoying. Crackdown 3, the hype on that and all the architecture to make everything explode and fall down, blah, blah, blah. This game is just No Man's Sky right now is so much better than when we first fired it up. And when we fired it up first time, I think we were a little bit late to the game still, and it was probably 6 months, a year later, and the game just kind of fine at the very most. It was fine, but now it's they're getting ready to come out with new DLC and all this great stuff that should have been there day one. The game originally was you go to a planet, that's pretty much it. That was your whole day. You go to the planet, you explore a bit, find some stuff. I mean, that was it. It's just all the randomized planets and, takes forever to run into another person. That's how big the world is. Not everybody wants the world's bigger. Sometimes they want it a little bit smaller and sustainable. And to be hyping a new game up with your track record is probably not the greatest thing you can do. I'm gun shy of him. And, what he's done with No Man's Sky is awesome. I mean, he's stuck with it. He's put in the time, effort, DLCs, getting things to where they were supposed to be to damn begin with. But that's the problem. He shouldn't have had that done 4 years later, whatever it's been. He should have had that done within the first 6 weeks of release. I mean, sure, made some patches or whatever, but that's just BS. You should not be able to even bring up the name of a game anymore unless you have freaking trailer with gameplay. Period. I think that should be a state law. I'm going to run for Senate and I'm going to make a law. You cannot release a game trailer or a movie trailer, but a game trailer that does not show gameplay, actual freaking gameplay. And if you were advertising on PlayStation, it better be from a PlayStation, not a PC. Xbox, same thing. PC, same thing. I get tired of hype that just lets me down. I mean, it's just sad. I'm getting mad. Damn it, getting mad. Pat, back to you. Damn it.
I mean, yeah, right. I mean, the only thing that his saving grace back then, right, was that he was an indie developer. I mean, really, that's what we had to lean on back then. He doesn't have that now. I mean, he didn't have PR team back then, so he's got a lot of that to kind of help him. Some of that stuff could be forgiven that easily, right? You don't have a PR team. You're pretty indie. Nobody. If you're a AAA studio, I think it would have been a little harsher. But he hyped so much crap that wasn't in the game for a while, and like we're talking years later. And Sony even admitted that what he did was a PR disaster, and they all just chalked it up to he doesn't have a PR team, and that stuff. I mean, because in my opinion, I don't care what you are, he did all the fans dirty because as soon as the game came out, he just went dark. Like he just disappeared from the face of the planet. Guy was tweeting and everything, and then the game came out and people are pissed off and he just like crawled into a hole somewhere and just disappeared for a while because he knew that he had misled all the fans. So, and now here he is doing the same thing again. Does he not have a PR team? Because in my opinion, his PR team would have been like, dude, shut up. We don't have any of this yet in the game, and you're typing stuff that's not in the game yet. Or anything like that. Because I think if the game was further along, we would have saw something from it, and he could have said, well, here's this feature, and this is what we're doing now, and this is cool. Instead, he's hyping up a game that we're all just gonna, hopefully we all hoping it's a great game and we're all gonna buy his game again. And then when it comes out and we get flapped in the face with this mediocre pile of crap that doesn't even meet, the half of the hype that he said, and that's the problem with stuff with guys like this. They're hype men. They don't belong in making video games because hype men hype up an artist that everybody's already familiar with and stuff like that. You go to a concert or a comedy show and you have a hype man up there getting the crowd ready and warmed up because they all know we're not here for the hype man. We're here for the main attraction. And we already know what the main attraction is about. Here, the hype man is hyping up something we've never seen and getting everybody excited. And next thing you know, we're excited to see a unicorn and you got a horse with a paper towel tube tied to its forehead, or something stupid like that. That's what this guy is doing.
World's largest midget. That's misleading.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Right. Or the man eating chicken, and it's a man eating a piece of chicken, So, just something stupid like that. And this guy, he didn't learn his lesson. I really hope that his development studio can cover his ass on this one, because he's writing checks that it can't cash again, I bet. So we'll see what happens. But I'm trying not to buy in the hype of anything, because I bought into the hype of No Man's Sky, and I was highly disappointed, because it was like, play with your friends in this procedurally generated world. And I'm like, how the hell do I find my friend in this procedurally generated world? And come to find out, there was only a very slim super chance that you would run into even another individual, let alone your own friend. So you can play with your friend, but you're in this distant galaxy that's far, far away, and you never even know how to get to them. And then they fixed all this stuff. They fixed a bunch of stuff, and it's a great game now. And we all kind of forgave him for that. But, he does it again. It's going to be a lot harder for us as fans to get behind him and say, well, we understand you were indie and trying to get everything going, but now he has no excuse besides that he's just being a jerk and a hype man. He's hyping up something that doesn't exist yet, and it's fruition for him, and he's promising all this stuff. And because in my opinion, when you're talking about features in your game, if you don't specifically state these are day 2 items in a game, we're all expecting it to be in your game when it comes out the door.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, hype is the terrible thing. Especially, like you said, if you're writing that check, your ass can't cash it. You burned me once, shame on you. Burn me twice, shame on me. Burn me 3 times, I'll find you.
Well, you know what they say. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me, you can't get fooled again. That's what
I don't remember the fortune cookie.
Yeah. He's anticipating that he can fool us all again. He can pull the wool over everybody's eyes and get them to spend buku bucks on his next game. His next game's going to be an $80 game or $70 game. He's going the EA Activision route.
Well, he had to charge the extra money for the hype.
Right. The hype shit. He has to pay his hype man, to hype this game out for everybody.
You think that hype train runs on hopes and dreams? I don't think so.
And what sucks is the people that are not around for the No Man's Sky beginning, right? Because I looked at some comments, and some people were confused as to why people were kind of like a little standoffish about it. And it felt like those people just weren't around for the beginnings or for the hypes that that he put out there. They might not be as connected to the gaming industry as
late arrivals,
interested in the gaming industry as we are. So we know all this stuff, and we've seen these interviews and various things like before the game even came out. So yeah, that's why we're in a lot of people are kind of leery about him hyping a new game, because it's like, we've been down this road before, man. Don't start that track again, because we've been down this road and we got burned. And we're kind of hesitant this time, because if we go down this road again, we feel like we're going to get burned again. And that's really going to be more of a it's really going to be more bad for him in the long run if he continues down this hype train than it is for him just to, like you guys said, just to shut up and talk about his game when he's ready to, and not hype it up so much, right? Because if he keeps hyping it like he did with No Man's Sky, you're going to get those people that did come in when No Man's Sky started, and they're going to be probably to the point of being very hesitant of making a purchase for the new game, right? Because they're expecting the same outcome as No Man's Sky was when it first released.
Well, y'all remember the original hype man, right? When it comes to video games, the OG, Peter Molyneux. I mean, every word out of that dude's mouth was just hype, hype, hype. Oh, man.
He made a mobile game and then faded into darkness.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the last game I remember him really whoring and hyping up was the Kinect one with Milo. With Milo, he looks like a real boy. He'll interact like a real boy. A real boy. I mean, Peter Molyneux, just everything he brought up when he talked about his games was just utter bullcrap after the game came out. I mean, Fable, your choices will do this, this, and this. It did to a point, but Jesus Christ, the way this guy was talking, the game was going to come alive and marry you. I'm still waiting for that ring.
Yeah, you could. I mean, Peter, he did have some hits like Fable and stuff like that, but yeah, he would hype his games to 100. I mean, everything was, even the mobile game, like what was it called, like Goddess or something like that he made. Like that game, I played it and it was okay well, I wouldn't say it was okay. It worked as a game. As far as you could move shit around and stuff like that, but as far as a concept for a game, there was nothing there, right? So yeah, it was worthless.
I mean, he did some good stuff though. Like, I mean, Fable is a really great series. Black and White's a really good series. I mean, I like Dungeon Keeper too, and Populous was really popular. No pun intended there, but it was pretty popular among gamers. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, and the bad thing about this game is Sean Murray even said in the interview that the development didn't start on this game until September of last year. So how do you have all this? You can have this grandiose idea, but how much of it's going to get left on the cutting room floor because you just can't do it, either technologically or time constraint? Stop talking about something that is barely storyboarded out at this point, that it's barely a thought in your brain. Stop talking about it like it's this next grandiose thing, because we all have grandiose idea when we're taking a crap on the shitter, but we don't tell everybody about them.
If it's in your damn mind and it ain't on a computer, it ain't real. So shut your hole.
Right. Like everybody's got grandiose ideas. It doesn't mean that they all ever come to fruition. And that's what I'm getting from this. A game that started in September of last year, not even in development cycle for a full year, a brand new IP. You have no clue where it's going to end up. So stop talking about it like it's this grandiose best game ever scope of No Man's Sky, because you already did that. And that was a horrible outcome for you. No Man's Sky is great now, but it didn't start out that way. And we gave you a chance to fix it, even after you ghosted us, for a long time. So you need to shut up and let your PR team do what they're supposed to do. And you can say, yes, we're working on a new IP. It's really early. We'll have more in the future to talk about. That's all that should have came out of his mouth if he just wanted to let everybody know that they're working on something else. And No Man's Sky is not their only project right now. That's really all it should have been, right? It's just great idea. We're going to basically have the same ambition as we had for No Man's Sky. And it's the best thing since sliced bread. And, you're not going to know what slapped you in the face when this game comes out. It's going to peer into your brain and tap into your spinal cord.
Yeah. I mean, he could simply just say, working on a new IP, we're laying things out. We've got wonderful ideals we're going to, go for. And we'll update you later. If you're gonna announce your new game without actually having a new game, you really got to choose your freaking words more wisely.
Right. All right. I think we've beat on the Sean Murray kick hype man enough. Anybody else got any final words before we end this show?
Nope. Just slow that damn train down.
All right. Well, let us know what you think. Do you trust Sean Murray? Do you think that what they're working on is the next best game out there? Is No Man's Sky even one of the greatest games out there, in your opinion? I mean, it's good. I'll admit it's good. I like it, but it's not one of the greatest, in my opinion. But that's just my opinion. So let us know what you think. Put some comments down there. Let us know. And don't forget, as always, make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to our channel and hit that bell for notification. Because if you're not subscribed yet, you're watching this video, why the hell not? Help us out. All right. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and we hope to catch you in the next one.
See ya.